So that leaves it to you, Steph. Why should the community embrace technology and AI in specific?
Oh, good question. I think it's because not only is it the future, but it's right now. We've been using AI for years on different social media channels. And so there's no reason for us to kind of get into it and use it in our daily lives, whether it's ChatGTP and helping you craft an email professionally within your business to help, make your business practices more efficient. And so you just don't want to be behind the curve. I think that's the important thing.
So for me, that's probably you'll hear about Google. And I say test and learn on everybody's platform. Like don't say, oh, I only know chat. When you leave here, you should know Google's got the same product. Use who's gonna support you. OpenAI isn't here today. They're not training today. And I'm saying it, not that I wouldn't do something with them, but I know the folks at Google. They sent down a representative, and I want to make sure that you're using. There was another beautiful sister I met, and she's trying to figure out, how do you lean into technology? How do you lean in? Because you manage me and a lot of others. How can you invite them to lean into this technology?
I mean, we use technology every day. So I think that it sounds more intimidating and complicated than what it really is. It's really just about kind of getting into it. And leaning into technology is just not one lane. Like, I run ads. That's my piece of technology, and I use all the tools that make that work. But you can use technology in any way, whether it's being a creative and doing videos or writing copy or creating different businesses or different designs in life every day. So I don't think that leaning into technology is just one lane. It's really just getting into it. It depends on what you want to do with it.
My favorite tool is actually a Google product. Anybody heard of YouTube?
What is it called?
I would say anybody that's in this room, before you do anything, after you leave here, go to YouTube University. Before you pay for some AI, go to YouTube University. Write down everything and every option. You will hear how to win. Right now, I want us to say 2 words: future-proof. I didn't hear that. Future-proof.
Future-proof.
When you leave here, you should be working to future-proof yourself. You have to be working to future-proof yourself. What do you do to future-proof yourself?
For me, I'm trying to stay constantly ahead of the game because I work with clients, and so I can't come to them months after changes have gone in the algorithm talking about it, right? Like, I need to be ahead of that. I need to talk about it. So for me, future-proofing is reading the articles that are coming out, doing my own internal testing. So I'm constantly looking at new features that are coming out and conducting my own tests so that when I talk about it, I can come with data backing that up. So that's the way that I do it. I just try to read as much as possible because I think that we don't want to be lazy about it. It takes time. So even when you're talking about YouTube, it's really taking the time and carving that out to really learn and internalize and then do your own research and do your own testing with that. So that's the way that I do it. I try to just kind of read as much as I can and then take that and then do my own testing. Because just because it says something doesn't mean that that's everything it is. But for me, it's like I always want to be the thought leader. I always want to come from an expert or be an expert in my space.
Anybody get anything out of that? I want to make sure, because she said it so fast and nonchalantly, and then she ended with data. Every client you have is going to ask you for a data point. So if you can't talk or share data, they completely are not even considering what you're talking about.
For sure.
Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah, for sure. And I think and even if it's like less consideration, is more so before they even ask for the data, if you have it and it's ready and I can speak to it, then I look like a shining star at all times, right? It's like, oh, she thought about questions that we were going to ask or questions that we didn't think about asking. So, I'm just a numbers person. So you can't disprove the numbers, which is why I love numbers because it's just so objective. But we can speak to it. We can talk about trends. We can talk about what I've seen. And then we can talk about what these numbers mean. Like, okay, next steps include X, Y, and Z because of the data, of what the data shows.
You used another word, and I think it's very important as we think about limited resources, testing and learning. How important is it to test and learn?
It's extremely important. Like, it literally takes it back to the scientific method in school, right? You have your variable, you have your control, and you're constantly proving yourself out. And testing is not a one-time thing, right? Like, you're always going to be testing something, whether it's, again, I'm in ads, and so it could be testing different videos, testing different copy, different audiences. I am always testing because what worked last year or even what was a winner last month is not what's going on currently. And so you're testing to constantly prove yourself and improve whatever performance that you're trying to do.
You have literally, and if you would share, won awards for your software, won awards for your thinking as it relates to bringing a software product to market. Can you share the journey that you've gone and even why the audience should be thinking of themselves as using AI and creating software?
Yeah, so, I have been running ads for so long and I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and startup companies, and I got into teaching. So you don't have to hire me, I can teach you how to do it, right? And so that teaching aspect kind of led me to get more into the technology, thanks to you because you really gave me the idea. But so crafting and kind of coming up with a platform that allows people to learn how to run ads on their own, and then starting to keep up with a certain trend. So even when I started the idea of, okay, let me build this so that people can come and I can teach and scale, because for the most part, I can teach, a class of 15, 20 for them to really internalize it. But now we can take this and do it in scale. But even as I'm developing it over time, and the original idea years later has to evolve. And so now we're incorporating AI and machine learning, and how can we use data to make it cooler than what it would have been last year. And so it's really like, I'm not even done developing, but I have to incorporate what's going on today in order for it to be the next thing and not fall behind trying to worry about an idea that I had 2 or 3 years later. So that's the way that I am getting into software and technology.
You said the name of it?
So the name of the platform is Semi, which is a play on simulator. And ultimately it is designed to teach people how to run ads and then allow you to practice without risking real money. I was running into a lot of people that were trying to nickel and dime the system, spend $3 a day, $5 a day, and you're just not going to get anything. So my thoughts were, well, if they had somewhere to practice, similar to day trading, right? Traders can go and they can practice their trade strategies without risking their real money. Then it'll allow people to get more comfortable so that they can grow their businesses or whatever their objectives are. And from that, it's just evolved, because now I have access to so much data from all the campaigns that I've run in the last 13 years that I have some really bright students that are specializing in machine learning and computer science that are taking all of that data and now can help people make decisions about budgeting and what channels to be on, things like that. And so again, it's just evolved. So that's where I'm at with it.
I'm proud of her. And she took the initiative. She was sharing the idea, and I knew that was a product. And yes, she's won several grants, which you didn't mention. But whenever you're on stage, brag about your success. Claim your victories. You don't have that many, claim every single one. She won Black Enterprises Award. She won several awards, and I'm proud that you brought Simi. It wasn't my idea. I was sitting in front of a young sister, and she was describing her software, and I'm like, that's a product. It wasn't for me to steal her idea. It wasn't for me to run off and go into a corner, but it was for me to encourage her and encourage all of us to know that greatness is in us.
And I remember when you first told me, because I had run a program one summer, I think it was the summer of 2020, where it was for Black-owned businesses for 3 months, I would essentially teach them how to run ads for free. You just needed to come, I'll teach you everything you need to know. And I was talking to you about how that program went and how I wanted to do it again, but I wanted to change. And you gave me the idea for the platform. You're like, well, that seems like it's a product. And I remember getting a slight attitude. And I was like, why are you putting something else on my plate? No, I want to do the program again. And then I went home and I sat on it and I was like, no, he's right. And so I remember putting the idea together, putting it in a pitch deck. Somebody sent me at the last minute an opportunity for a pitch competition. I put it together. I think I was on vacation, like in Jamaica, and I put a pitch deck together and came back to Atlanta, entered, and won $25,000 off the idea. And I said, okay, I guess Munson's right.
I wasn't right. God's right. I just knew. You know, the one thing is Stephanie, I didn't do a great job of. She's a super mom. She's a graduate of Georgia Tech. She has all the qualifications. Most of us have the qualifications. It's access to capital and the sponsorship to move us forward. So I only saw somebody who was prepared to continue to go to the next level. So I think we're at 11 o'clock. What time is it? Oh, well, then you get to talk a little more because my 11 o'clock. When you think about AI, what are the practical ideas? Because there was a young lady in the audience and she was saying, how can she best move into the design space using time? What would you suggest to her? Because she's in the audience, she's on the second row, and I'm really glad that she came to solve a business problem. And that's what I want us to do. Be here, ask the individuals, because this is rolling out. This is where you actually get access to the individual. They don't run off. They don't go in the green room. So please, please, please ask your questions. What would you suggest?
Yeah, I think we're still so early into understanding the capabilities of the AI platforms out there. I would be heavy in, and I am in heavy research as it pertains to how powerful it is. Because I think what we see right now is just kind of the corner of what it can really do. But I actually have a conversation scheduled with my development team to talk through how can we incorporate AI to make it cool, something that we can incorporate it by the end of the semester, because they're both graduate students. And we're just diving in and going to have a whiteboard session and throw all the ideas out there. So I think that we're still so early that there's just so much opportunity to really get into it. And there's not a wrong answer because it can really do anything. I went to it was like a startup showcase last year, and while this student was talking about his business, he was typing in his product, right? And by the time he was done talking, which was maybe 2.5 minutes, he had told his product what to do and it had built a website in 2.5 minutes. And I'm just looking at it like, I'm listening to you talk and I'm watching you just kind of type a few things. And he told, and he's just incorporating the AI technologies that are already out there. So it's really just about what do you want it to do? What is your business? And I'm sure there's a way to kind of connect it. But again, it's going to take okay, what does ChatGPT do? What does this other product do? How are they incorporating it already? And kind of diving in. And there's no shortcuts either. It's hours and hours of research, lots of testing, lots of conversations. There are a lot of events that are going on in the city, especially at Georgia Tech. I see it all the time, where they're having these conversations. People are really sharing their ideas that can kind of spark some of this. And that's essentially what happened to me. I realized that I needed to incorporate it into Simi before it was too late.
Never be late. And that's why Ronald's having this event, because I want my community to lean in.
Mhm.
This fear mongering, you got to leave that alone. Doubt, got to move it. You literally have to lean in. But she said a lot of things. Anybody hear the word whiteboard? How many of you have had a whiteboard session this week?
Ooh.
So we got about 4. Almost every week, you should have a whiteboard session. Those ideas have to be popping up on, then you leave them there. You don't erase them all. So as you were talking, I was hoping that everybody was saying, this is one more thing for me to go home and do. Have a whiteboard session.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, the takeaway is research. If you're not constantly in research mode, you're going to overpay.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to charge you for a lie. Worst thing in the world is to be charged for a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody tell you they can do something. The one thing I want that you said that was so important was the capacity of AI. I want to make sure we say it so that everybody leaves here. Say keystrokes.
Keystrokes.
Grows my profit margin.
Grows my profit margin.
Gotta say it like you believe it. The one thing that the guy was saying, keystrokes in AI is everything. How you prompt it, how you connect it, is gonna grow your revenue and grow your profits. So when she was talking and giving you the example, many of the funders, and John, hopefully, John, you'll talk about how to approach funders in what you do, but literally, she was telling you a capacity, and I just want to say this, Stephanie, you did a great job, but I don't want them to miss it. Share how he was telling the software to create the product and creating software. Can you give them an idea that AI really isn't about a word processing? Because we're so into this, it'll put a post up for me. That's probably something it could have done 50 years ago. You just didn't have access to it.
Yes, I think the easiest is that I was able to immediately get in. It's like, let me find a better way to write this email. I know my tone is off here. So ChatGTP has gotten me together in ways like that. But to your point, I think it opened my eyes to the capabilities of it, watching him incorporate what he had built and then helping other people do it. So he literally was just writing sentences, build a one-page website that includes a contact us form and features of blah, blah, blah. Like he was just writing it down in sentences. And the website was populating for every sentence that he was writing down. So as he said, include a contact us button that takes name and email. And then the buttons popped up for that. And it was just so cool because I'm like, wow, like, you know how long it takes to go through Squarespace and try to figure this stuff out? And he just typed it up and he was changing colors, changed his mind, like white background. Nope, I want a light blue background. And it was changing at that particular time. So it takes it further for me to see that, okay, help me rewrite an email. But now he put a one-page website together in minutes. And, you know, to your point, you could have paid thousands of dollars for that website, or you could have taken weeks to do it yourself. So, and that's just, again, the corner of what it can do, because as a student, he was able to build that, showcase it quickly, and it was still kind of a clunky product that he was saying. It was nothing fancy about it. So it just made me realize that that's just the tip of the iceberg of what the opportunities are.
Well, I thank you for that. I want to not give you any time to anybody have any questions, but I don't want you to think AI is a word processor. Mm-hmm. I mean, don't leave here thinking it's a graphic artist for you. Think it's a mainframe in Dubai connected to a mainframe in Japan and to labs around the world, and can solve diabetes for our community if we think about it hard enough and long enough and tell the community what else to do. I want you to leave here knowing that you can reimagine your reality and that the AI. Yes, brother. Well, there are two answers. One, anytime you create something, contact an attorney. If you're gonna create something.
You have to repeat the question so everybody hears the question.
He asked if he creates something with AI through a machine or through a computer, does he own it? And for most platforms, if you're on these images that you see, because I'm an AI artist, I created them on Plugger. And Plugger says you can own them, kind of. And so to me, that says I own them as long as I can fight to own them. Mm-hmm. If you're on Midjourney and you create an image, or it'll say, okay, that's cool. Just know that Midjourney has that image. It's not going away.
Correct.
And Midjourney will allow you to upload any image. There was a young lady when I was on the radio today. She said, I want to just put my image up. You know, just understand, you just put your image in the ether and you don't have to worry. I don't think there's anything that you would say that's patentable in making something through text. But that system, you're going to have to come back and patent that whole process if that's what it was. But I would consult an attorney if I was concerned with that.
I think I would always say if you have to use other platforms to build something and do what you want, you're less likely to own it completely because you're using somebody else's software or somebody else's product. If you build it from absolute scratch, then it's yours. And that's something that you can get a patent for. But building something from scratch is sometimes just inefficient. If there are other products and things that you can incorporate and connect like APIs or the back end data, things like that, and it can get you to your ultimate goal faster, then it's, to me, I would go that route than trying to like patent something and be the, you know what I mean, the first to have something. I think it's really about solving or getting to the solution more than it is about having like a patented product, in my opinion.
And the one thing about AI and half the movement around the world is making it accessible and free. So you see a lot of people talking about open source. You see a lot of people, say the word developer.
Developer.
No, y'all not saying it loud. Developer.
Developer.
So if everybody in here isn't a developer, know that once you walk outside the door, the magic just poured on you and you're now a developer. Like, that's what AI is to you. Mm-hmm. You will become a developer, and if you research it, you can find more open source. The world is concerned, particularly, we're very spoiled here in America, but the world's concerned, will Africa have enough large language models, and will they be able to do the research? And so there are people who want to open AI up so that they can do and understand and build off other individuals' learnings. Because if you're studying a disease, you want to connect with those other individuals who could be working with proteins in a way that you hadn't thought. And the whole idea is to end diabetes for everybody, not just for one group, and do it for no cost. Any more questions? Okay. Go for it.
does that look like future-proofing yourself? That's becoming an AI marketer and just asking the right questions, or is that getting deeper into it, trying to maximize AI by, put some kind of attention with it and having services? Does that question make sense?
I think what you're asking, so you're asking it essentially, what does future proofing mean in the sense of, are you supposed to be more technical as it pertains to AI? I think when he mentioned fear before, I think he was talking about to eliminate the fear of getting into something new, which I think that a lot of times our community, we're more cautious and risk averse. And so I think that we were, discussing kind of going head first. I think as it pertains to future proofing, it's really specific to you, because my future proofing is not going to be your future proofing, right? Like, I am planning for things that pertains to my industry, for what I do as it, adds my platform software and how I'm going to incorporate AI. But what does future proofing look for you, and how can you start to research and get ahead of the game? Because yes, AI may be coming for some jobs, but it still needs a human touch. It's not like 100% without that can work by itself yet, right? And so I wouldn't necessarily look at it as I'm going to lose my job because AI is coming, but maybe I can get ahead of it and learn how to use AI to make my job more efficient. And maybe I can add something else within that to, do something new within that same type of industry or role or whatever that is. So for me, I wouldn't necessarily be scared about losing jobs or anything like that, but it's like, okay, we know it's coming. Where in my industry is it coming? And how can I get ahead of that so I can speak to it, so I can incorporate it in whether it's my business or my day-to-day, and so that I look like, yeah, I know it's here, it's going to do this, this, and this, and I'm going to help it do this, this, and this. So you're not just kind of like, oh, the AI showed up yesterday and I guess I need to pack my bags. But it's really, you know what I mean? Let's be partners in this instead of allowing it to kind of run us away and find something different. So you don't have to be an AI technician. Like, my goal is not to learn how to code and build an AI technology. I'm hiring people for that, right? So, but my goal is to understand it enough to where it can leverage what I already do.
Well, I want us to stop talking about AI like it hasn't been here. Like, it ain't new. Like, I really want, if you walk in here and somebody says it's new, I mean, I don't know, maybe your texts haven't been corrected for the last, who you think was correcting your texts? Who you think was reading your emails? What are you thinking? Like, this has been here. It's now kind of commoditized. You've got access to what, corporations started out with the cell phone. Now everybody has one. We're at that moment. I'm sorry, we're at rolling now. Can you say the word redundancy?
Redundancy.
Okay. Brother in the back, with all respect, and I really appreciate your question. If it's something that's redundant, it's going to be replaced. If it's redundant, it's going to be replaced. Coders, you have to imagine when, what was it, last week? And I know Google has a product like Sora getting ready to come out. But if they're saying you're making video in 1 minute, a 1 minute video with text, a 1 minute video, everybody in this room can make a 1 minute video with text. They're saying reimagine how you make a video. Because you may not need a camera crew to make that video. It's the imagination moment for you to really bring partnership. But I think this is a good place, Stephanie, and thank you for coming. And I'm going to let you ask your last question, brother, because I don't want you. But I want everybody, you're just getting started. You got some of the dopest Black people in the world coming to the stage. You need to be bragging to all your friends that you are at the biggest, dopest spot where $1 billion corporations sent their employees and their partners to tell you and your friends how to make money in the future. I mean, we're coming with a solve today at Rolling Out. We're going to tell you, well, now you may not want to be, you might want to partner with Google. They have a partnership. You might want to get 4 friends and figure out how to join a team. You might want to get a certification. You've got things that I want you to think about, because if you're not going to collaborate, I'll just say this, if you're not going to collaborate, if you're not going to be curious, you're going to be irrelevant. And we're having this because I don't want us to be a community that's irrelevant. So I think this is a wonderful time. My dear sister is going to come up. Let's give my brother this last moment, because I don't want anybody ever to be at Rolling Out and feel left out. He did say he was a Morehouse man like me, so go ahead, brother.
My question was relative to monetizing a product, and if a person had an idea as far as marketing a series of puzzles for people who like puzzles, what platform, I guess, would be the term in terms of AI? Well, I guess a platform would be, I guess, would you direct someone to look at? I know there's that Chat GP or GT or whatever it is for people who like to write books or whatever. But how would one find which one of those would be suitable for working a series of puzzles types of books and being able to make them, I guess like a series? Does that make sense?
It does, but I just want to caution everybody.
Mm-hmm.
If it's been made like a puzzle, if it's been made, it's been scanned somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you could begin, and don't get stuck on chat.
No, I'm
not
saying
you.
Example.
I'm saying them. I can tell you the difference between Barb and chat. If I want something here, and so I'm not going to answer the question now because we'll get to that.
Ruminate.
I don't want people to think Chat GPT is AI. Like I don't want you to think that. That's not AI.
Okay.
Artificial intelligence is so much bigger than that.
Right.
Like and so you're not going to go on a chat and say, okay, you can create puzzles. There are lots of places to create puzzles. So I don't want you to miss that. But there's a big solve happening, and it's really about us embracing partnership, collaboration. You want to create some puzzles, you might want to go to the puzzle maker because he's trying to figure out how to put AI on all his puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that's redundant like a puzzle that you will do, chat can scan it, break it, and do it right now, and they'll give it to you free. I wouldn't want to be in that business, but I'm just letting you know there are a lot of platforms, and we'll share some. So I want to get in front of you. Can you close this out?
What would you like me to close this out with?
Some hope, some ingenuity. I mean, there's a powerful sister getting ready to come, so don't run out. They finally, a brother, know who's coming on stage, but there's some dynamic people that are here. So go ahead, give them a little hope.
Some hope. I mean, I think being here is a first step, right? Learning all that you can, getting your questions answered, collaborating. I think that one of my goals this year is to be more involved, to show up at the events, to network, do all the things, because there's always going to be somebody that knows a little bit more, that did a little bit more research than you. So I think this is a great step. I'm learning while I'm sitting here just as well as everybody else is. And so, yeah, I think that if you have an idea, don't be scared to just kind of start it and do the research. Like, I think there's the information and the education is out there. YouTube, like you said, there are lots of courses, there are lots of classes. I'm teaching a class on entrepreneurship that talks about the foundational steps on what it takes to start a business. So, yeah, I just think that with ideas, don't let anybody talk you out of it. Do your own research and formulate your own scientific method to determine if this is an idea that is worth really pursuing and allowing to use a lot of these technologies, and whether it's AI or not, to get you where you want to be.